everyone, it's Emily back with another Grass River Microclass. And today we're going to be focusing on spring ephemerals, which is one of my favorite topics. We did birds last week and now spring ephemerals, so it got me all excited. So spring ephemerals are just those really early spring wildflowers that bloom and come up out of the ground before the leaves in the forest leaf out. And that's so the flowers can take advantage of all the sunlight that's reaching the forest floor that doesn't normally after the leaves leaf out. So it might be a little bit early to do this topic. Maybe I should wait until next week when more flowers are up, but it's one of my favorite topics and I'm just really excited to share these beautiful, delicate wildflowers with you guys today. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. And you can see the background. I'm in a really nice, pretty old growth, mature maple beech upland forest. And this is a super common type of habitat in northern Michigan, so it should be really easy to find if you want to go looking for your own spring ephemeral wildflowers. All right, let's see what we can see out here. So many of you will be familiar with this plant. These are ramps or wild leeks. They're delicious. And they're not a spring ephemeral, but I wanted to show you these because if you see these, you know that you're in a great place to look for other spring ephemerals because they often grow side by side with them. And they do have a flower, but not until the summer after the leaves die back. Here we have a personal favorite, Hepatica. It's super beautiful and delicate, and these blooms are a very light pink color, but it can be anywhere from light pink to white to like a lavender or light blue even. So super variable, and these are actually the sepals. They're not the petals, but they're modified. They look like petals. And the plant was named based on its leaves. You can see that, so the leaves are evergreen, so they persist under the soil under the leaf litter in the snow during the wintertime. So they're in kind of rough shape. These are last year's leaves. But you can see that they're lobed. There are 3 lobes here. And so some early botanist thought that reminded them of the liver or the hepatic system with the liver's 3 lobes. And we have 2 species of Hepatica here in northern Michigan. This is sharp-lobed, and you can see that the edges of the lobes, the ends of them are pretty sharp. They come to a point. But we also have round-lobed Hepatica, where they look almost identical. The flowers do, but then the leaves are just rounded on the ends of the lobes. And just a little further down the trail, I found some lavender bluish colored Hepatica. Lots of color diversity in this species. This is a little chipmunk. Here we have a super early Trillium. This is a large flowered Trillium. The regular white ones you see that usually carpet the forest floor in early May. 3 leaves, really distinct, and it's all curled up right now. But I don't want to disturb it too much, but inside there is the flower. So here we have some trout lily leaves, and unfortunately we don't have blooms quite yet on them, but there'll be a yellow 6-petaled nodding, so kind of like upside down almost looking flower with the petals curved back. And it actually takes each of these leaves, and this is how the flower got its name, because someone thought the leaves looked speckled like a trout. So trout lily. But each of these leaves, it can take the plant up to 7 years to produce a flower. So quite long-lived, and this is why they don't recolonize an area quickly once they're removed from it. So it's important to keep them where they are. So here we have some spring beauty just starting to open up right here and right here, along with a ramp leaf and a trout lily. And that's the thing about these plants, is that they often exist like in such close proximity. It's so hard to narrow in on just one. But so this is Carolina spring beauty, and there's also a spring beauty, Virginia spring beauty, but those leaves are almost grass-like. They're so narrow. So that's how we know this is Carolina spring beauty. And these flowers don't open up unless it's a relatively warm and sunny day. And right now, I think it's just mid-40s, so they might have been open, you know, like a couple days ago or last week or whenever it was warm and not snowing. But yeah, not today. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe on Saturday they'll open up. But the neat thing about Spring Beauty is that it has these what are called bead guides, and the pink stripes sort of along the petals are like a runway. They act like a runway for bees and other pollinating insects to guide them toward the middle of the flower where the nectar and also the pollen is. All right, and here we have some super early Dutchman's breeches. They're pretty easy to identify based on the leaves, very feathery and dissected, kind of like a grayish green color underneath. And then the flowers, these are just starting to bloom, but they'll get bigger and brighter white, and the bottom little tips here will get like a waxy yellow color. And the shape, they're called Dutchman's breeches because the shape somebody thought looked like upside down, like pantaloon type pants back in the day. But yeah, they're only pollinated by a native species of bumblebee that can get its proboscis, its long proboscis up into the tips where the nectar is. And then I just dug into the soil right below the stems, and this is a good way to tell Dutchman's breeches versus squirrel corn apart for sure. Is that the tubers on Dutchman's breeches are a pale pink color, but the tubers on squirrel corn is a bright yellow color, which is how it got its name. They look like little kernels of corn. And then, you know, the flowers are slightly different shaped for sure. Dutchman's breeches have more of those spurred tips, and then squirrel corn is more heart-shaped. But the leaves are pretty much impossible to tell apart. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me on this Grass River Microclass Spring Ephemerals. I hope you learned something about these beautiful flowers, which really mean that spring is here, which is awesome. And also I want you to keep in mind that these flowers are really important for these upland ecosystems because they provide an early nectar source for flying insects like our native bumblebees that wouldn't otherwise be here. So not only are they beautiful, but they're very useful too. And I'm thinking, you know, we didn't see as many things today as I wanted to. We didn't see bloodroot or squirrel corn or the actual flowers of trout lily. So I'm thinking we might have to do a part 2 of spring ephemerals, maybe next week or the week after. Darn, right? Can you tell it's one of my favorite topics? Okay, so that's it for today. Stay safe out there, and until next week. Bye, guys.